What's up guys, welcome back. So this video is in the continuance of the last video in which we have started a new series which will be called the random practical question or the RPQs, in which you guys ask me the query on the mail, and if those query seems relevant to all the people, then it would be answered in term of a video. Lots of people was constantly asking me the query relating to the one single topic, and which I think would be the query to most of the people, and the topic is relating to the job work, works contracts, mixed supply and the composite supply. Lot of people have the doubt relating to that topic, and the doubt is like, what is the difference between the works contract, job work, composite and mixed supply? What exactly will be the taxability of job work, works contract, composite and mixed supply and the GST? How to determine the valuation in those cases, and what exactly will be the rate of taxes in case of a works contract, job work, composite and mixed supply. So this is the query of almost everyone. So in this video we will answer the query of all these questions so that you can also clarify your doubt. So without any delay guys, let's start the topic. So this is our first question of this RPQ, and it is relating to the difference between all of those four items. And the question is, what is the difference between the job work, works contract, mixed supply and the composite supply and the GST? So the person want to differentiate between all those four items. So the query is because you are confusing between the works contract, job work, mixed supply and the composite supply, and also you are relating this four topic in the GST which with what was there in excise or the service tax. So before to understand these four topic, you have to first delete what was there in excise or the service tax. So forget whatever was there in excise or the service tax and now start with fresh topic. Consider that it is differently a new topic and don't mix it with what was there in excise or the service tax. So I am supposing that you have forgotten everything which was there in the excise or the service tax and you are now starting with the fresh topic. So now the definition of the works contract is defined under section 2 subsection 119, and it says that the work contract means a contract for building, construction, fabrication, erection, installation, repairing, renovation, etc. There is a lot of things: construction, repairing, renovation, erection, installation, etc. There are a lot of things. So the work contract means a contract for construction, renovation, fabrication, erection, installation, etc. of any immovable property. Underline the word is immovable property. So whatever will be the renovation, construction, erection, installation on any immovable property, that will be called a works contract. So if those activity like the building, erection, commission, installation which will be done on only and only immovable property, then only we can say that contract is a works contract. But if those kind of thing like fabrication, erection, installation is on the movable property, then it will not be considered as a works contract. So for considering any contract a works contract, it should be done on the immovable property like the building or the power plant. I'm taking the example only. So works contract means a contract for building, construction, erection, fabrication, installation, etc. on any immovable property wherein the transfer of goods is also involved in execution of such contract. So if there is any installation, commissioning, erection, etc. on any immovable property, and where also the supply of goods is involved in execution of those contracts, then only that will be called as a works contract. And the works contract is deemed as a supply under schedule number 2. We will discuss about it later in the video. So it will be treated as a supply of service. So therefore if there is any kind of a construction, erection, installation, etc. on immovable property, and also where there is a supply of any goods involved in such execution of contract, then only that will be called a works contract. We will discuss about the example of works contract later in the video or in the next question. So underline that if any activity will be on only immovable property, not the movable property, only on the immovable property, then only we can say that it is a works contract. And the immovable property is defined in the Transfer of Property Act. It is not defined under GST Act. So it will be, the meaning of immovable property will be considered from the Transfer of Property Act. Now the second one is the job work. Job work is defined under section 2 subsection 68, and under the job work, under the GST, the job works means any treatment or process. Any treatment or process. There is two activity here, treatment or process. So job works means any treatment or process undertaken by a person on the goods belonging to someone else's or belonging to another registered person, that will be called a job work. So under GST, the job works means any treatment or process which will be done on the property of another registered person. So if you do any kind of a treatment or process on the goods belonging to someone else's registered person, then that will be called a job work. And also job work is treated or deemed to be treated as a supply of service under Schedule 2, which we will also discuss it later in the video. So the work contract is a contract wherein there is a supply, there is a contract of construction, renovation, installation, erection, etc. on any immovable property, not the movable, but only on the immovable property, wherein the transfer of goods is also involved in execution of such contract. And the job work means any treatment or process wherein undertaken by a person on the goods which is belonging to someone else's registered person. So if some registered person sends the goods to some other person for any treatment or process, then only that will be called a work contract. So we will take the example of what will be the work contract under GST later in the clip. So now coming to the mixed supply and the composite supply. The composite supply is defined under section 2 subsection 30, and it says that the composite supply means a supply consisting of two or more taxable supply of goods or services or both, which are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of businesses, one of which is a principal supply. So there are three things in which we should focus on. First one is that they are the consisting of two or more taxable supply of goods or services or both. So when there is a supply of two or more taxable supply of goods or services or both, and which are bundled or which are combined naturally in the ordinary course of businesses, and one of which is a principal supply, then only we can say that that supply is a composite supply. So for example, when you purchase a car, there is also a contract of warranty in that case. So purchase of car is a purchase or is a supply of goods, but apart from purchase of goods, there is also contract of warranty. The warranty is a supply of service. So there is a two contract. One is for the supply of goods and second one is the supply of services. So those two supply of goods or services is combined together in the one contract, and also one is the goods and one is the services, and it is combined naturally in the ordinary course of businesses, and also one of which is a principal supply. So the principal supply here is a supply of goods. So in this case, where there is a supply of car plus there is a supply of warranty in the one single contract, then that will be called a composite supply. So we will take also a lot of example of composite supply later in the video. And about the mixed supply, the mixed supply is defined under section 2 subsection 74, and it says that the mixed supply means two or more individual supply of goods or services by a taxable person. So if there is a supply, there is an individual supply of goods or services by a taxable person for a single price. So when we are charging a single price of two or more supply of goods or services, where the such supply does not constitute a composite supply. So also there is a three things in which we should focus on. First one is that there are two or more individual supply of goods or services. The word is individual, so we will discuss about what exactly is an individual and what will be the implication of individual word in the mixed supply. So mixed supply means two or more individual supply of goods or services by a taxable person for a single price, and where such supply does not constitute a composite supply. So what will be the example of the mixed supply? So suppose when we purchase the gift for the Diwali, in which there is a lot of things like rasgulle, namkeen, and then we have the dry fruits and the cold drink, and it is mixed or packed together in a one package. So that will be an example of the mixed supply, because in that example there is two or more individual supply of goods, individual supply of goods like the rasgulle, namkeen, then have dry fruit and cold drink. So that is individual goods. So when those four items, namkeen, rasgulle, dry fruits and the cold drink, is mixing together for a single price, because that person is charging a single price for all those items, and also it is not a composite supply, because in the composite supply the supply of goods or services or both is naturally bundled, but in a package where there is a four item of rasgulle, namkeen, dry fruit and a cold drink, that is not a naturally bundled item. So therefore, and also that is not any one supply of goods is not a principal supply. So therefore that kind of item where there is a package of four items which are not naturally bundled, that will be a mixed supply, because in that there is a two or more individual supply of goods, and also that is for the one single price, and also that is not constitute a composite supply. So that will be example of the mixed supply. So we will take another or more example of work contract, job work, composite and mixed supply in the next clip. So the next question is relating to the examples of work contract, job work, mixed supply and the composite supply. And the question is, please explain the work contract, job work, composite supply and mixed supply with the help of example. So you want to know about the work contract, job work, composite and mixed supply with the help of example, because you got the definition and you are very thankful to me. But you also want to take another example or more example, because the definition is not good enough for understanding the topic, and I also understand it, and I know that what you are thinking or what you want from me. Okay, so that is example of work contract and the job work, and in the next clip we will take the example of composite and the mixed supply. So we have learned that the works contract is a contract of renovation, repair, construction, building of any immovable property where the transfer of property of goods is also involved in execution of such contract. That was the definition as provided under section 2 subsection 119. So the example of works contract will be like the construction of building. So if we look at the construction of building with the definition of works contract, then we should also match that whether it is fall under the works contract. The construction of building, so first one is the construction, that was also the activity of construction, also that was under the definition of works contract. So construction is the activity which was provided under the definition of works contract, and construction of building, so building is a immovable property, and also while constructing a building there is a supply of goods involved in the execution of such construction of building. For example, the supply of goods like the steel, rods, cement, and then the rodi badarpur like this. So in the construction of building, that will be called a works contract, because in that case there is a construction of immovable property wherein the transfer of goods like the cement, steel is also involved for execution of such contract. And the second example would be like the commissioning or erection of thermal power plant. Thermal power plant is also an immovable property. So if we commission or erect the thermal power plant, that will be also a contract of works contract in which there is a immovable property involved is thermal power plant, and the transfer of property in goods is like the cement, steel, also the same like the construction of building. So that is the two example of the works contract. And if we talk about the job work, we have learned the job work means the treatment or process on another person goods, and the another person is registered person. So the another person should be the registered person when he send out the goods to a person, and when that person perform the treatment or process on that person's goods, that will be called job work. So the example would be like painting of car sent by a registered person. So when a registered person sends the car to some person to perform the painting on it, so the painting would be treated as a treatment or process which was defined under job work. So the painting would be treatment or process. So therefore, when some person only paint the car which is sent by the registered person, that will be example of the work contract. And the second example would be like the shaping the iron plates which is sent by the registered person. So suppose the registered person has the clean or straight iron plate or iron plate. So the registered person has the plain or straight iron plate. So when that person sends those iron plates to some person for molding or for shaping, then that will be called a treatment or process. That will be called a treatment process, and that activity would be the job work under GST. And this is the example of composite and mixed supply. So we know that the composite supply is a supply of two or more supply of goods or services or both combined or bundled together in the ordinary course of businesses, and one of which is a principal supply. So the example of composite supply is like the supply of goods along with the supply of transportation services and the insurance services. So suppose the supplier is liable to transport or to get the goods insured up to the place of supply or up to the place of business of the recipient, then in those cases there is the three supply. First one is the supply of goods, second one is the supply of transportation services, and the third one is the supply of insurance services. So the three supply is bundled together in the natural course of a business, and one of which is a principal supply. So the principal supply here is the supply of goods, and those three items is bundled in an ordinary or natural course of business. So therefore this is the example of composite supply. And the next one is the repairing of generator plus fixing the damaged part. So suppose someone sends to you the generator for repairing, and also in that course while you are repairing the generator, there is also some parts which has been damaged, so now you replace that part. So in this there is a two things. First one is a service of repairing, second one is the supply of goods which is the damaged part. So in this case that will also be the composite supply, because in this case the two supply of goods or services is bundled naturally, and the principal supply would be the supply of service which is the repairing services. One more point here is that whether we can say it as a job work, because job work is defined as the treatment or process. So whether that repairing is a treatment or process, so I think in my opinion the repairing services will not be a job work, because that will not be a treatment or process. And one more here important point to note is that the treatment or process is not defined under the CGST Act. So there might be a case that the treatment or process meaning will be defined or will be done by way of case laws in the future. So till now we don't understand or we don't know the meaning of treatment or process. So in my opinion the repairing services will be treated as a composite supply, and it will not be a job work. So that is my opinion. The other opinion can differ. So before taking that kind of situation in a practical situation, so you can also consult the other person. So in my opinion the repairing type of a service will be treated as a composite supply, and the taxability also will be done as the taxability of the composite supply. Okay, now the third one is the sale of AC plus the installation charges. So when someone sells you the AC plus they also take the charges of installation, in that case also there is a two supply. First one is the supply of AC which will be treated as supply of goods, and second one is the supply of services of installation charges. but those two supply is naturally bundled in the ordinary course of businesses, and the principal supply here is the supply of AC, which will be supply of goods. And in case of a mixed supply, we know the definition. A mixed supply is a supply of individual supply of goods or services which is combined together, and those combined, the price is charged of the one item, and that activity is not constitute a composite supply. So suppose in the previous clip we have taken the example where the Diwali packages, with the box of the Diwali in which there is a lot of item like the namkeen or the rasgulle, the dry fruit and cold drink, that are packed in the one package, and the price is only one for whole of the item. So that was example of mixed supply. And another example is a supply of boxes which consists the supply of sweets along with the supply of chocolate. So those two items is packed in a one box, and the supplier is charging you only the one single prices. And also that type of activity is not the composite supply, because that activity is not satisfying the condition of the composite supply, because that is not ordinary bundled in the natural course of businesses, and also there is no principal supply of goods or services in this case. So therefore that will be treated as a mixed supply. So that was the example of work contract, job work, mixed supply and composite supply. And the next question is relating to the taxability and the rate of taxes of all the four things. And the question is, what will be the taxability and the rate of tax in case of a work contract, job work, composite supply and mixed supply? So till now you have learned the definition of work contract, job work, composite supply and the mixed supply, and also the example. Now the next question is what will be the taxability of all those four things, and also what will be the rate of taxes in all the four cases. So first one, we will take the taxability and the rate of taxes of the work contract. So under schedule number 2, entry number 6A of schedule 2, which is relating to the deemed supply of goods or services. Schedule number 2 says that whether that activity is a supply of goods or services. So when activity is fall under schedule number 2, that will be deemed as a supply of goods as well as services. So under entry number 6A of schedule 2, the works contract services is deemed to be the supply of services. So in the GST, the work contract services will be deemed to be a services, and it's not the supply of goods, it is the supply of service. So make or note that point into your mind, that the works contract will be treated or deemed to be the supply of services under GST. And what about the rate of taxes? So the rate of taxes is provided under entry number 19 and entry number 27 of the rate of services as approved by the GST Council on 19th May 2017. And the rate of taxes is divided under two parts. First one is that the construction of building, complex civil structure intended to be sold to the buyer, whether wholly or partly. So if there is a construction of building, complex civil structure intended to sell to a buyer, whether wholly or partly, then it will be taxed at the rate of 12% with input tax credit. So if there is a construction of building, complex civil structure intended to be sold to the buyer, whether wholly or partly, that will be taxed at the rate of 12%. And in case of other works contract like the construction, erection, commissioning of the power plant, thermal power plant or other kind of immovable property, then the rate of tax will be 18% under entry number 27 of the rate of taxes, which is prescribed by the GST Council in respect of the services. So that is the taxability, that works contract will be treated as a supply of services, and the rate of taxes is 12% in case there is a construction of building, civil structure or complex, and if you want to sell to the seller, whether wholly or partly, then the rate of tax is 12%. In other works contract services, the rate is 18% with full input tax credit. Now coming to the taxability of job work and the composite and mixed supply. So the taxability of job work is given under schedule number 2. As per schedule number 2, entry number 3, the job work will be treated as a deemed supply of service. Will be treated as a deemed supply of services. So the job work will be treated as a deemed supply of service under schedule number 2, entry number 3. And the rate of taxes in respect of the supply or in respect of the job work would be 18% under entry number 36 of the rate of taxes as approved by the GST Council on 19th May 2017. So the taxability of job work is that it will be deemed to be supply of services and the tax rate would be 18% under entry number 36 of the rate of taxes as approved by the GST Council. And with respect to the job work of printing of newspaper, so the job work in respect of printing of newspaper, the rate of tax would be 5% under entry number 13 of the rate of taxes of services as approved by the GST Council. So in case of a job work, that will be treated as a deemed supply of services and the tax rate would be 18% under entry number 36. If there is a job work in relation to the printing of newspaper, so that will be taxed at the rate of 5% under entry number 13. So make the point into your mind. Now coming to the taxability of the composite and mixed supply, the taxability is defined under section 8. Section 8 subclause A says that in case of a composite supply, the supply would be treated as a supply of principal supply. So suppose in our example where there is a supply of AC along with the supply of installation charges. So in that case there was a two supply. First one is the supply of AC, which was the supply of goods, and supply of service of installation charges, which was the supply of services. So we know that in case of a composite supply there is a 2 or 3 condition. First one is that those two supply of goods or services are naturally bundled, and one of which is a principal supply. So in the similar spirit, section number 8 subclause A says that in case of a composite supply, the taxability would be like the taxability of the principal supply. So in case of AC plus installation contract, the principal supply was the AC. So whatever will be the rate of taxes in respect of the AC would be taxed under the one invoice. So we know that the rate of tax for the AC is different and the rate of tax of installation is different, but under the composite supply of those two supply of goods or services, the tax rate would be of the supply of AC. So in the invoice, when we charge the price of AC plus the price of installation charges, so those two items will be combined together and the rate of taxes would be like the rate of taxes in respect of the AC, not in respect of the tax rate of the service. We will not bifurcate the rate of taxes under the two items, like item of AC or the item installation charges. We will take the tax rate of the AC only. So we will not bifurcate the rate of taxes of the two items, which is of the composite supply. We will take the rate of taxes of the principal supply. So in our example, the principal supply is the AC. So whatever will be the rate of taxes of AC will be the rate of taxes on the whole invoice, plus we have to add up the transaction value of AC plus the installation charges, and then we have to take or charge the rate of taxes as rate of taxes is of AC. And in case of a mixed supply, the rate of taxes or the taxability would be like the highest tax of rate. So whichever supply of goods or services will be highly taxed will be that will be the taxability under the mixed supply. So in our example where there is a package which has the 2 or 3 items like the namkeen, rasgulle, dry fruits and the cold drink. So there are 4 items. So whatever will be the higher rate of taxes in respect of those 4 items will be taxed on the mixed supply. So suppose the tax rate of namkeen is higher than all the 3 items. So we have to combine the value of all the 4 items and tax at the rate which is for the rate of taxes of the namkeen, which would be like the highest tax rate for all the 4 items. So that's how the tax rate or the taxability of work contract, job work, composite and mixed supply would be taxed under the GST. And the next question is relating to the valuation of goods or services in case of a works contract, job work, composite and mixed supply. So the question is, how to determine the value of supply in case of a works contract, job work, composite supply and the mixed supply. So you got the meaning, you got the example, and you also got the taxability and the rate of taxes for all those four things. But now you want the valuation, whether there is any method to value the supply in case of a works contract, job work, composite and the mixed supply. Look, in case of a works contract, there is a two component. First one is the supply of goods and second one is the supply of services. Under the earlier law, like in case of excise or the service tax, we had to separate the value of goods from the value of services. So if there is a works contract, in the excise or the service tax, we have to separate the value of both two components so that the tax can be charged under the excise law in respect to the manufacture of goods, and tax can be charged in respect of a services in case of a provision of services. So we have to separate the value of goods from the services because there was a two different law. First one, tax in respect of the goods, and second law was taxable in respect of service. So therefore we need to separate the value of goods from the services in case of works contract. But in case of a GST, it is a tax of one nation, one tax, something like a slogan, one tax, one nation. So it means that there is a tax on both supply of goods as well as the services. So under GST, there is no need to separate the value of goods from the services because both the taxes has been combined together and there is a one tax which is called the GST, and the slogan is one tax, one nation. So therefore we don't need to separate the value of goods from services, and therefore there is no such separate method to determine the value in case of a works contract, job work, composite and the mixed supply. So remember that there is no separate valuation in case of a works contract. The valuation will be done as per section number 15 or the valuation rule. The 15th section says that if the transaction is wholly or solely in the form of money, and when the price is the transaction will be taxable as the transaction value. The value will be the transaction value in case the supply is not between the related person and price is a sole consideration. So section 15 says that the value shall be the transaction value in case the transaction is not between the related person. So if you are not related and if the price is the sole consideration, if the two things will be satisfied, then you have to value according to section number 15. But in case the transaction is between the related person or the distinct person, or in case the price is not sole consideration, then we have to shift on to the rules, valuation rules, and determine the value according to the rules. Rule number 1 says that, or rule number 1, determine the value in case the price is not sole consideration. Rule number 2 of the valuation rule deals in case there is a transaction between the related or the distinct person, and if we can't find out the value or supply goods or services as per rule number 1 and 2, then we have to shift on to rule number 4, which says that we have to calculate the value of supply of goods or services as per rule number 4, which is 110% of the cost of manufacturing, production or the provision of services. So that's how the valuation will be done. But if you want to know more about the valuation rules or valuation section 15, then check out my other video. I have covered in detail about the valuation of goods or services under GST, and the link of that video is also given down in the description. So if you want to check out the value or how to determine the value of supply goods or services, then you can check out that video and the link is down in the description. Alright guys, so this is our last question, and with this we will end the video. And the question is relating to the input tax credit in case of a works contract service. So suppose you receive the works contract service, then the question is whether you can take the input tax credit. Whether a person can take the input tax credit of the works contract service, and if yes, then what are those cases? So the input tax credit is defined, or input tax credit is under the chapter number 5 of the CGST Act. Section number 17 subsection 5 deals with those cases in which the input tax credit will not be allowed to a person, and section 17 subsection 5 clause number C, section 17 subsection 5 clause number C says that the work contract service, in that case the credit of input tax will not be allowed. So the credit will not be allowed in case of a work contract services when supplied for the construction of immovable property. So it means that if there is a supply of works contract services and it is for the construction of immovable property, only the construction, not the erection, only the construction of immovable property, then those persons are not allowed to take the input tax credit in respect of those works contract services. But there is an exception to this, except where it is an input services for further supply of works contract services. So it means that if there is a works contractor can take the input tax credit of the works contract services if that is his input service for further supplying of works contract service. So in simple, the input tax credit of the works contract service in respect of the construction of immovable property, only the construction of immovable property, is outside the scope of the input tax credit. So construction include, there is also explanation attached to this. Construction include alteration, modification, repair, renovation, etc., which is capitalized in the books of account. So that is the case, that is the explanation of the construction. Construction also include repair, renovation, alteration if it is capitalized in the books of account. So those works contract services, in case you received for construction of immovable property, then it will be not allowed. But if the works contractor receive the works contract service in case of a construction of immovable property, and if it his input services for further supply of work contract services, then they can take the input tax credit on those items. So for example, if the construction of a factory, so suppose you have the factory and the construction of those factory will be treated as the works contract services, so the company cannot take the input tax credit of those works contract services. So if the company is building a factory, then that company cannot take the input tax credit of those works contract services. But in case of a commissioning or erection of the power plant is also immovable property. So if there is a commissioning or erection of the power plant, then the company can take the input tax credit, because the only restriction is for the construction, not the erection or commission. So the erection or commission or other kind of a stuff which is under the definition of works contract can take the input tax credit. And if the works contractor receive the input service of works contract services for construction of immovable property, then also those works contractor can take the input tax credit. So that is a section number 17, subsection 5, clause number D, which specifies that you can't take the input tax credit of the works contract services in case of construction of immovable property. But if you are a work contractor and you receive the work contract services as an input service for further supply of works contract services, then you can take the input tax credit on those supplies. Alright guys, so thanks for watching the video. Make sure that you subscribe the channel, because there will be more such RPQs in this channel. So subscribe the channel. And also, if you want to contribute to such kind of RPQs in future, all you need to do is just to send the email to sharwangst.148@gmail.com, sharwangst.148@gmail.com. But before sending the mail, please make sure that you disclose all the relevant fact and figure related to such query. Alright guys, so we will meet in the next video. Till then, bye bye.